Okay, so we had a tournament this last weekend, and as I said I would do, I took pictures of all three games to document it. So it's a real small one. There was only 6 people who showed up. We expected a couple more than that, but that's okay. It was still a lot of fun. Let's see, there were 2 dwarf armies, 2 demon armies, a dark elf, and then my Bretonnians. So my first game was against a dwarf player that I've played against several times. So lining up on the left of the screen, which would be my right flank, as I was playing it, I put my fast cav and a lion there at the end. My trebuchet stone thrower. There's 5-man Knights of the Realm. Behind them is a 9-man unit Knights of the Realm, and next to them, which you can't see because of that impassable terrain, there's 8 Knights Errant with my battle standard bearer. Then a unit of Pegasus Knights, some peasant bowmen, 20-man men-at-arms, more peasant bowmen. Behind them, I have my 5-man Knights Errant. I have a 5-man Grail Knight unit, and to the far right of this screen is some 10 peasant bowmen skirmishers. My generals behind them on a Royal Pegasus. I have my damsel all alone right beside them, and I have, lastly, a unit of Pegasus Knights. So, facing him, he's got on the left the bolt thrower, on the hills a Zorgon gun, 10 quarrelers. He's got his longbeards. Then he's got iron breakers. Now, what you're looking at now is actually after his first turn movement. The pictures I had for his deployment didn't turn out very well, so that's why they're positioned like that. But anyway, he had his iron breakers and his cannon, then a unit of warriors, some more quarrelers, another unit of warriors, and a bolt thrower. So, as you can see, I started off placing some peasant bowmen in the middle, and then I threw everything I had to the right. Because, one, I want to stay away from that organ gun, because I just don't need to be near it. Its range is only 24 inches, and I think with the troops I care about, I don't even need to come near it. And same with this bolt thrower. And you'll notice as the game goes along, for the most part, he's shooting at my peasants, which is just fine as far as I'm concerned. So any dwarf army, my pregame thoughts are get at his war machines pretty quickly, because they really can put a beating on my knights, and then just make sure I don't charge into them unless I can get a flank attack. Otherwise, it's just too hard to break them. So his first turn, as you can see, he took his 2 block infantry units and moved them up. He took his warrior unit at the top of the screen and turned it, because if you remember, all my guys are at the side, and I think he's thinking I'm going to send a bunch of people around that house, and so he's guarding his flank that way. And then his longbeards, it looks like he's using them as kind of a reserve unit right now. So this is just another angle on the battlefield as it sits at the first of my turn. So, predictably, yes, at the left of the screen you can see I take my fast cav as far up as I can and shoot at the crew of his bolt thrower over there. I take both units of my Knights of the Realm up, so I can charge his bolt thrower with anybody I want of those 3 units, and that's, I think, what he was thinking as well, which is why I took that warrior unit back there. I meant to bring my BSB unit up, which is the Knights Errant unit hiding behind that impassable terrain, but I realized if I did that my trebuchet wouldn't be able to see. I was just horrible placement of that trebuchet. I should have gone in the opposite corner. But anyway, that's what I did, and I figured I wanted at least one clean shot at those iron breakers if I could get it. He had his troops together enough that even with if the stone went elsewhere, I had a good chance of hitting something. Anyway, then you can see in the middle, I took both units of those Pegasus Knights and flew them up. I'm thinking I just want to charge that cannon, but again, those guys are nice because it just gives me a lot of different options. Move my men-at-arms up, and my Errant and my Grail Knight unit, I'm just kind of holding them back to function kind of like a reserve. You can see Bowman at the back of the board. During his turn, he shot up that unit of peasant bowmen. They fled, and yeah, they're just right at the end. I think they ended up rallying. I think when I moved, I'd forgotten to rally them, and he let me do it later. You can also see I took my damsel and put her back in with the Grail Knight unit. I was hoping I'd get some spell that would do damage, and then when I rolled my spell and I didn't, I just put her back in the unit. So anyway, moving on to Dwarf turn 2. He doesn't move. He doesn't march this turn. He moves up maybe just a few more inches with those units, and everybody else really is just staying the same. And just relying at this point on me shooting at him, on him shooting at me. So on turn 2, I take one of those Pegasus Knight units, and I charge that cannon. I would have loved to have gotten 2 wide on there, but even if they would have fit, I didn't have the distance. So the only one that had range was my champion. So he got in there, but I feel pretty confident about that fight. And if nothing else, if I just stay there, have them tied up, they're not shooting at me, so I'm okay with that. I don't really expect him to take those blocks of infantry and turn them. Quite frankly, because he was there during the game I played against the other opponent that did turn him, and I think he saw how that turned out. So I think my Pegasus Knights are safe from that. So this is just another look at the battlefield. You can see with the other Pegasus Knights, I charged Quarrelers and on his stand and shoot, he killed one of them. You can see I charged his bolt thrower with those fast cav. I'm not sure I can win that, but quite frankly, I just don't want to waste my knights over there. His men don't move super fast. I'd rather I turn my guys so I feel like I'm coming at the side with those units, coming at an angle with my BSB, and coming from his front with my men-at-arms, Knights Errant, and Grail Knights there. So in my mind, I'm set up pretty well to get some good charges on him. And I don't mind his bolt thrower even beating my fast cav. There's not a whole lot of harm it can do as far as I could tell. So again, another picture of the battlefield. Not really a whole lot more going on right there. So Dwarf's turn 3. You can see he takes his big blocks and he's angling them a little bit to try to keep me from getting his flanks. He moves his Quarrelers up, gets his Longbeards a little closer to the action. I think they're kind of functioning as initially to guard the flank, and now that he doesn't need them, I think he's just using them as a reserve unit. You can see the Pegasus Knight battles are just kind of, I didn't break them, but I'm winning combat and just kind of holding out there. You can see the men-at-arms are missing 4 guys. I think that happened on turn 1 as well. And you can see the peasant bowmen in the woods are also down a few. So he's taken a lot of his shots, and he just, from the left side as I was playing it, and he can't reach my knights. And so rather than do nothing, he's targeting my peasants, which is just a wonderful role for those people to play. Those peasants can die all day long if they keep my knights from getting shot at. So another look at the board, Dwarf turn 3. You can see the battle, he's down to 1 crewman on that cannon. So this is where the fun begins. On my turn 3, I was able to get a flank attack and a frontal attack on that unit. So I think really he just didn't turn him enough, obviously, if I was able to get the flank there. And we were pretty careful about the measuring, so that was legitimate. You can see the BSB units moving up. I've used my men-at-arms up, guarding the flank of my big Knight of the Realm unit. And again, I'm holding back just a little bit with those 2 units on the right, the Knights Errant and the Grail Knights. They've got such good range that I really think next turn, if he moves up at all, I'm going to be able to charge him. And I don't really care if I can or not. They're intentionally kind of reserve units. I just want to make sure I'm not getting flanked. So there's another angle. Unless I fluff my rolls, I expect to dominate that combat. Those are just warriors, and I'm just getting a slew of attacks. So there's another angle. Thought that was a good picture, so we should throw it in there. So this is a pretty important fight going on. So you can see what happened is I beat the unit. They ran away from my larger of the 2 knights units. I withheld with the small unit, the 5-man unit, which is down to 4 now, because I don't need all my knights going towards that table edge. I'm aware of that Ironbreaker unit, but I just didn't roll very much with my Knights of the Realm. So Yet again, I'm just kind of all bottled up there with my knights tripping over themselves. The cannon's dead, so those skirmishing flying guys are ready to go around and do something, but my knights are kind of all tied up in a mess. His ironbreakers are facing my men-at-arms, so the one good thing I have going for me, as far as I can see it, is he's not going to charge the flank of my knights there this next turn. So that's halfway through the game, and coming up is Dwarfs turn 4.